right there, Let's Talk Sports fans. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh boy. What's up?
Hey, I like that you put it in there again, huh?
Yeah.
That song, I like that.
Yeah, I haven't left the song. The song has stayed. The song has stayed. So
That's okay. It's good. It's good. It's been a while since I've been on. So
yeah, that's the one thing that hasn't changed, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Inside Cowboys Nation here on the Let's Talk Sports Network. It's been a while since we've done a show, and it's been a while since Flo's seen the rebrand. So, joining me as always, he got a new office and everything. Look at that.
yeah,
He's in the Cowboys war room.
I'm in the war room now because we're getting serious now.
Oh yeah,
I'm
getting serious today. My name is Alan, of course. Joining me as always from the Bottom Line Sports is my main man Flo. Flo, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? Just here trying to get ready, looking at the off season, wrapping up the football season for us. We did that in our show, and just trying to still get over. It was a long time between when we lost to the Super Bowl. It feels like it's kind of dragged on. It's just been kind of painful.
Drag is what it is.
As you know. So
yeah. We should have Can today. He is running a little bit late, and we are kind of crunched for time today. But normally with this, we go about 45-ish, 50 minutes on the show anyway, so we should be fine. A lot to discuss, though. A lot to get into. Some things have happened since we last were on. Unfortunately for us, we lost Dan Quinn going to the Commanders. We also lost another coach going to Washington as well as their new DC. So we had a vacancy for quite a bit, and it seems like they brought in an old face. Flo, they brought in Mike Zimmer to be the new defensive coordinator in Dallas. What do you think of that move?
At first, I wasn't sure. But I know he's, like you said, he's an old face. He's a guy that we know that has been with the Cowboys before. And I think when he considered that for a head coaching job back in the day, at some point for us. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like he's
I think him and Sean Payton at one point were.
Okay, you're right.
When Parcells left, but right. Payton went to the Saints. And then a few years later, Zimmer ended up going to Minnesota.
Right. And then I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I think you brought this up. I can't remember if other people brought it up, but it seemed like Dan Quinn was a little distracted in the playoffs, looking to the next place he's going to go. I think maybe not. But at the same time, I feel like he did a good job. But the good thing is that Zimmer is going to have 4 key players back, right? He's going to get Diggs back, who we lost early, right? He's going to Overshawn, who we lost even before the season, and then Van Der Esch, and then
if he stays healthy and if he comes back.
If he comes back, but
there are still questions about his health. There are still questions that if he'll retire.
We lost. He was a key part of our run defense, and our linebacker core. And then the guy from, is it Harrington? I don't remember the D lineman.
I think so. Oh no.
Starts with H.
Is it Hankins? Jonathan Hankins?
Maybe it's Hankins, yeah. Anyway,
we got him in a trade from Vegas last year.
Right, but we lost him during the season. So those are 4 key players I think he's going to get back. So part of me feels like it's going to be fairly seamless. I think he's going to have as long as he doesn't try to make too many changes, I feel like he's smart enough. He's been a head coach. He knows that he doesn't want to come in and just do a total overhaul and try and change the defense, And I think that he's just going to come in, make a few tweaks, kind of things that he likes to do, maybe the way he likes to kind of.
I think he's going to be more hands-on than what Dan Quinn was.
Probably.
He's going to be on the field.
Yeah, I was thinking he's going to be on the field. Yeah.
He's going to be on the field instead of in the booth. He's going to give the face-to-face feedback that probably some of these guys need.
You get a different feel on the field than you do from up top, Mm-hmm. It's a different dynamic. And so I feel like he's going to be I don't feel like we're going to lose a lot on defense. As far as production, I think the defense will be. There might be a few things that go up. Maybe the run defense is better, but the pass defense is a little worse, or different. It's gonna. But I think for the most part, we're gonna be at the same level. So I'm fairly happy with this hire for the most part. If we're talking about Zimmer.
Speaking of guys who are former players / coaches, what do you think of them bringing in Greg Ellis to be the new D-line coach? Here's the thing. I'm a little sour with Greg Ellis because that was the draft when they drafted him in '98, which Jerry Jones always gets crap for because he skipped on Randy Moss, who was right there. Ellis wasn't that bad of a player. Of course, he played under Mike Zimmer, so he knows the system, so he can coach it. It's a terrible taste though in my mouth a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, and to be fair, a lot of times people can be better coaches than they are players. A lot of times, there's a lot of guys that we can look at that were great players, but they became pretty good coaches, or didn't even play, but they became pretty great coaches. So,
Doug Peterson, good example.
Good example. The guy who coached for Denver for a while, I'm trying to remember. Before the guy that just got fired, Anthony Lynn.
He was who, by the way, he's now the run game coordinator in Washington right now.
Right, and he was with the 49ers last year, I believe. But anyway, he became a great coach. Wasn't much. He was a special teams guy. I think he played with Shannon Sharp in Denver as well. He wasn't a great quote-unquote player. Didn't make a great contribution as a player, but has become a solid coach. Mainly an assistant. He had a one head coach job, but he's become.
How about our current quarterback coach, Scott Tolzien?
Yeah. Okay.
Who was a career backup for the longest time in Green Bay and is a part of Mike McCarthy's coaching staff.
Right. And all that to say, Greg Ellis, I mean, I'm not totally upset with it. You know what I'm saying? I think it can be a good thing. I think that it can be a positive thing since, like you said, he knows Zimmer's system. He knows what he likes to run. He wasn't necessarily all that great for us as a Cowboy necessarily. And like you said, the Randy Moss pick, probably would have been better for us in the end, but it is what it is. Sometimes Jerry has great picks for the most part, but sometimes he outsmarts himself, I think, sometimes. And let's just say but for the most part, he's pretty solid in the draft.
Let's just say that the years that followed were not good.
Yeah.
2000, 2001, 2002, not good years. Not good years.
Right. To say the least. Yeah.
So,
yeah. So any other thoughts, or are we moving?
I'm okay with it. Sometimes you get that player perspective, and it kind of helps a little bit. We've seen that's kind of the trend in the NFL now with some of these player coaches getting opportunities. D'Amico Ryans in Houston. We talk. Al Harris here in Dallas. There was talks of him possibly going to Washington to be their DC, but the Cowboys shot that down.
Right. And I think
I believe it was Witt that went, right? Witt left to be the DC for Washington, I want to say.
I think so.
Witt Jr.
Yeah. I think you're correct.
Yeah, that could be an interesting hire for them. That really could. Him as their DC and Kingsbury as the offensive coordinator.
Kingsbury, yeah. And I think for all the flaws that people would have Kingsbury, I think he's a great offensive guy, offensive coordinator. He may not be a great head coach, even at the college level, but as far as offensively,
he's a good offensive mind.
Yeah, he's good, and so that might be a good move for him. I mean, at some point you figure he's trying to get back into being the head coach at some point. I'm not sure if that's his best. Maybe he's learned from the past, so maybe he can be a better head coach. But for the most part, I think he's better as an offensive coordinator, as many coaches are. As you know, most of us thought Dan Quinn was a better defensive coordinator than a head coach. But the Commanders going ahead and take a shot on him, even though I don't think he's as good a head coach as he is defensive coordinator. But maybe, like I just said about Kingsbury, maybe Dan Quinn has learned from his mistakes in the past as a head coach. We'll see.
I feel like depending on what they do in the offseason, they could actually take kind of a step forward from what they were this year.
Do they hang on to their quarterback though? I don't know.
That is the question, because there are talks of them trading up to 1 and flipping that pick with Chicago to take Caleb Williams 1.
Right. There's talks that
they could be trading
May, right?
Him.
I think there's some drafts that have, the Bears taking, is it Drake May first? And then
Drake May or Jaden Daniels.
And Daniels first. Yeah, there's a few mock drafts that have that. So there's a possibility they pass on, which I don't know why.
I personally
passed on Williams. But
I know this is a Cowboy show, but I personally hope that Justin Fields stays in Chicago. I think he belongs there. I think you need to build around him. I think you can trade back at least 1 or 2 spots and still get Marvin Harrison to pair up with DJ Moore in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then you have another top 10 pick. Go get you one of the top 2 tackles in the draft, and that could solve a lot of problems.
I think the thing with Fields is that I think the consensus a lot is, okay, you don't really know what you have Justin Fields. You don't know if he can really take the next step. So why not just reset your quarterback market? Because
I really think we need to.
That's been the most successful people in the NFL lately. You have a quarterback you don't have to pay a lot to. He's still on his rookie contract. You make the Super Bowl, and you're able to pay other positions. And so I think in that sense, a lot of people are saying, "Hey, just reset your quarterback budget and get a good." There's a lot of them in this draft. At least 4 or 5 that could be starters right away. Go ahead.
I think the argument against that, the argument against that is for Chicago is that they really, other than maybe DJ Moore and maybe Cole Kmet, they really don't have any talent on that team to go around him. I think you need to if you had that team loaded like what San Francisco has, I could understand that logic.
But the only reason they have that is because they have a guy on a rookie contract, quarterback. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason they have that.
I was saying, you can build around that, and they're going to have a lot of cap space this year. So maybe they go full on defense on the cap space, and then power the offense in the draft or something like that.
Does if Fields has 1 more year on that contract, or
I believe he has 1 or 2, depending. I think it's 1 because he was drafted the same year Micah was.
So he has 1 more year on it,
mm-hmm.
And then they can extend him, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a 5th-year option. Most rookies have a 5th-year option, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you make him play for his contract this year and put a few things around him. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Go get him some protection. Go get him a better defense overall. They need a better defense.
Yeah.
I feel like if he was in San Francisco right now, just to say, if he was in San Francisco, I think they win that Super Bowl. Nothing against Brock Purdy, but I think a mobile quarterback in that system.
Really? Wow.
I think a mobile quarterback in that system can win a Super Bowl.
Seriously? Yeah.
Nothing against Brock Purdy at all. I mean, what Brock Purdy's done these last 2 years has been nothing short of remarkable. Going from Mr. Irrelevant.
Does Shanahan want that kind of quarterback? Does he want a guy who's just going to mainly be either a runner or?
Well, he did have success with it, albeit it was only a couple years with RG3 before he got hurt. But
I mean, I think if you have more of a runner, a Lamar Jackson type, quarterback who can really run. I don't know that really – I think that takes away from Shanahan, and I think Shanahan wants to be the man. I don't think he wants to give too much credit to the quarterback. And to me, I don't think he would want a Justin Fields because then Justin Fields would get all the credit, especially if he was running around.
In Atlanta, Matt Ryan wasn't a runner, so.
Yeah, that's true.
He never really had –
But who got all the credit for that? It wasn't Matt Ryan. He got some of the credit, but, I mean, Kyle got a head coaching job out of that gig. What I'm saying is if you bring Justin Fields, he's a big name. He's a guy that everybody knows is going to run a lot of the time. And you're saying it would be great in that offense because of they could have won the Super Bowl.
It would be an extra.
I think
it's a little bit more accurate. And had Purdy been able to move around a little bit more? Because I know you. Had Purdy been able to?
I think it was 53% accuracy this year. That's not good.
It's definitely up from what he was last year. I know that for sure.
Purdy was close to 70.
Well,
You think
again,
more
look at the
accurate?
talent around him.
But you can still look at Mahomes. He was back there with Purdy, and he didn't have great talent around him. And everybody was dropping the ball.
That is true.
So, I mean, you got to put some of that on Fields. Some of that's got to be on Fields too. I agree he didn't have the great talent, but some of the accuracy's got to be on him too.
I would say at the very least, give him another chance. Build around him a little bit more. See what you got.
See, that's the key thing, though. I mean,
if they win 10 games next year, extend him, because that means you're building towards a potential playoff contender.
Right. If he wins 10 games, or I would say even 9, you would extend him. Depending on
it will be tough. It will be
how
tough
those losses went. If the losses weren't really his fault, it was more on the defense, or like people say, Mahomes receivers, they didn't put a lot of the losses on him because a lot of his receivers are dropping balls. So if you can win 9 but Justin plays great and he's the reasons you got 9, then yeah, you extend it. But it all depends. 10's a good number, though.
It will be tough in that division because if the Vikings bring Kirk Cousins back, all 3 of those teams, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers, are going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, I think the Lions take a step back though, but I think golf has an expiration.
I personally, and this is just a gut feeling I've been having, I feel like our division as a whole is going to take a step back. Other than Washington, I think Washington might take a little bit of a step forward, but I think Philly, and especially.
I mean, the Giants didn't look that great. Like, of course, they did lose.
The Giants, I think, are going to be the worst team.
The Eagles took a step back, obviously. So you're saying the Eagles are going to take another step back?
I think this could. I'm not saying it's going to get 2020 levels bad, but it could be that.
That's pretty bad. Let's hope it doesn't get that bad.
I really think I don't trust Kellen Moore in Philadelphia. Not with that offense.
No. I never trust Kellen Moore.
I do like the Vic Fangio hire, but something about Philly they don't have a secondary that.
I think Jalen Hurts is more like this year and then the pre-Super Bowl years than he is the Super Bowl year. I think that's who he is. You always think quarterback's best year and your worst year and throw him out, but I think he's more in the middle, closer to what he was last year, or maybe his second year or whatever. I think he's closer to that than what his Super Bowl year. I don't think he's going to repeat that kind of year, maybe ever again. I don't think he's going to have that because he had a lot of things bounce his way, and things don't always bounce your way. He had a lot of, I don't know. It just feels that was just one of those years where he just kind of like Matt Ryan year, right? He had an MVP that year. I think Jalen Hurts is never going to be that Super Bowl Jalen Hurts again, in my opinion.
Especially if they lose Kelsey. If Kelsey retires, I don't think that offensive line is going to be the same.
They won't be able to do the tush push like they were before. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
And like I said, I think the Giants are going to be the worst team in the league this year.
In the league?
Mm-hmm. The whole league.
No way.
I do not trust Daniel Jones at all.
Really?
And they're not going to have Saquon. They're not going to have Saquon. That is their bread and butter on offense. And I think them losing Wink Martindale is going to hurt them more than people think.
I think Daniel Jones is better than people give him credit for. I think he's closer to what he was the year after he got his contract than he was his other years. So I'm the reverse with him and Jalen Hurts. I think he's closer to what he did, not last year, but the year he got the contract, after the contract. I think he's closer to that, which is not great. I mean, he's not top 10, but he's right in there on the edge of that. If he continues to use his legs, continues to limit turnovers and things like that.
I don't know. This is something tells me that 10 wins is going to be enough to win the division this year.
That it is going to be enough?
10 wins is going to be enough to win the division this year.
Okay, that's fair.
Also, remember, we're going to have a tough schedule this year because we got to play the AFC North.
I hope, like you said, because we're going to have a tough schedule.
Because you got Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Baltimore.
Yeah.
All 4 of those teams are going to be tough to go up against.
Yeah.
I think we got to go to Cleveland and I want to say to Pittsburgh.
Right.
So, and Cincinnati with the healthy Joe Burrow is never fun to go against.
Come in next year, right? They come into Dallas next year. Ravens.
I think so. Yeah. And then
Yeah,
you got Lamar and Burrow coming into Dallas. So
right. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough schedule. Yeah, let's get into.
Thank
Dallas.
God we have the NFC South. Thank God we have the NFC South this year.
That's fair. All right, so let's get into this Cowboy talk and talk about this because it's gonna be next year. It'd be rough, but we can get into some of the topics you have.
Oh yeah, definitely. Jerry Jones wants to go all in. How do you define with the roster that you have now? How do you define all in for Dallas next year?
All in, huh? Like, how do I define it?
Like,
how do I think Jerry?
What moves are you gonna make to go all in? Well, first you got to go get running back for sure.
For sure, you got to get a running back. I don't know if you do it in the draft. You try and sign someone like Derrick Henry, and maybe not necessarily Derrick Henry, but someone.
I'm hearing Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, those two specifically.
Hey, either one of those, then I'm saying that you're going all in. The problem is with Barkley,
or maybe even Josh Jacobs. I'll take Josh Jacobs.
I think you can get Derrick Henry a little cheaper because he's on the other side of his prime, where Saquon's going to want a little more money. I think it'd be hard to get Saquon unless you can just Stark and get him. Hey, you're going to be Cowboy. You're going to get a lot of money outside of your contract. Maybe they can get him that way. But I think Derrick Henry would be easier to get than Saquon. If we can get Saquon now. I think all in also is maybe giving Trey Lance a shot, seeing what he's got. I don't know.
I think at the very least he'll be our backup this year.
And
I don't think Cooper's gonna stay. I don't think Cooper's gonna stay.
We're going to talk about this later, but we can talk about it. But I think all in would be take a quarterback early, another quarterback.
Take a quarterback.
Yeah, that would be all in to me. Because Dak, what is it, 8th, 9th year? I don't think he's got a bunch of years left. I don't think he's going to be Tom Brady, where he can play 20 years. He's maybe got 3 or 4 good years, maybe 2. So if you got to start,
does Jerry drafting a quarterback in round 1 light a fire under Dak Prescott?
That could be another.
You're hoping for,
like it did Aaron. Remember, Aaron had an MVP season once they drafted Jordan, and Jordan Love kind of lit a fire under Aaron. So I'm fine with that. Light a fire under Dak.
There's one quarterback.
No one's going to believe in Dak until he does it in the playoffs. That's just
there's one quarterback I could see them drafting that could do that for Dak.
And that's the bottom line.
That quarterback is Michael Penix. If the Cowboys pick either Michael Penix or Bo Nix in the first round,
I think Bo Nix.
I think that's gonna say, "Hey, Dak, go prove it."
For sure.
Go prove that you
will
can
Jerry
win.
do that? That's the problem. Will he draft somebody that?
I don't think he will though. I think he's too loyal to Dak right now.
That's what I'm saying.
And not to hate on him. Dak came off his best year since his rookie year, statistically wise.
You know what? I would even be okay with him. I would be okay, maybe in the second round. This could be a second round. Maybe taking Jordan Travis.
Jordan.
He's coming off an injury. You don't need him to play right away.
You don't need to play him. You let him rehab a year.
That's what I'm saying. Right, you let him rehab, but he can play, right? A lot of the reasons
he can go into being your back. He can go into being your backup because it looks like if they don't keep Trey Lance and trade him off, that could be your backup going forward.
Right. Yeah, I think at the very least you take someone like Jordan Travis, maybe a second round pick or something, depending on how far he falls. Because the injury, people don't believe in him. They don't want to take a guy who's hurt. Most people who need a quarterback aren't going to take somebody who needs rehab still. And so maybe they take a chance on Jordan Travis. I don't know.
No, I did. I saw this. This came across my feed the other day. If they do go, if this all-in thing is for real, do you see Jerry maybe taking a shot on a guy like a Devin White? Maybe to help plug the middle a little bit. If they are unsure about Leighton's health, and they don't know if he's going to play or not anymore, do you take a chance and go get a guy like a Devin White or Lavonte David, whichever one of those two is going to be a free agent, and maybe try to plug them in to that.
You mean in the
defense.
first round?
No, I'm saying like in free agency, go get a
First
Devin
rounder,
White.
like a first round.
Maybe. I mean,
you're talking about Devin White. Okay, sorry.
Devin White or Levante David. I'm not sure which one of those two is going to be the free agent. I think it's Devin White.
He's a free agent.
One of those two is. So someone said that. I was like, you know what?
Then.
If it's Devin White, I'm all in. That screams all in to me. Because you put Devin White with Micah Parsons. You put Devin White with Micah Parsons and Demarion Overshawn.
Yeah, and Micah wants to be primarily a pass rusher now. It seems like, and so you can leave him there and put Devin White, kind of the Micah Parsons when he does play linebacker, and you also help replace Vander Esch if he can't come back healthy or doesn't come back, however that is. And so, yeah, I would say for sure signing a guy like Devin White would be an all-in thing, right? I think that would be an all-in move for sure.
What's up, Bobby G? Bobby G, go check him out, man. He does a great job on his show as well. So, I would say if you want to go all in, the first two moves you make are linebacker and running back for sure. Running back is going to be the necessity because I don't think Pollard's staying. I really don't. If he stays, he's going to be the backup.
Yeah, he's going to be that. Not necessarily the backup because he wasn't really the backup to Zeke for me. I think they were just kind of Zeke started, but they were kind of 1-2. I think if he's willing to be kind of that 1-2 guy, like he was with Zeke, then maybe he's not going to really be the backup, but he's not going to really be the starter.
Yeah.
I mean,
because I think you get a guy like a Derrick Henry in there. I know he's on the latter part of his career, but with him still being able to run as well as he does, you put him behind our offensive line, that's going to give you a running game for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I say you even draft a running back high, maybe second, third round. Draft a running back.
I think
high.
there's really the reason why people are
Derrick Henry.
I think the reason why people are enamored with the free agency this year is the running back class in this year's draft isn't that good. You've got Blake Corum, you've got Jonathan Brooks, and then you've got a couple others. And there really isn't any other running back outside of those two, and then I think there's one more. Now, if you can get like a Blake Corum or a Jonathan Brooks, I think Jonathan Brooks will be the best because he's not 100% healthy. You can let him rest for a little bit. If you go get Derrick Henry, go draft Jonathan Brooks round 2 or whatever. Let him rest for a little bit because he is going to be that type of runner.
What if you get the guy from the Notre Dame guy?
Notre Dame?
That's Timmy. He's a big guy. He's like 5'11", 220 pounds. Get you a bruiser, kind of a bigger guy.
I mean, that would work. It would work with how the Cowboys like to run the ball.
Right, and I think that would be someone like he's rated as number 5 running back. So you'd have to take him.
You could probably get him in like round 4, if
maybe.
that's the case.
Right. But I say you take a big guy, bigger running back, right? Even the guy like the guy,
whether it's Derrick Henry or somebody in the draft, yeah,
maybe Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. He's a big 6-foot guy, like 240 pounds.
And it's what sometimes it's the guys,
and he runs a 4.4.
Sometimes it's the guys you hear about the least that ends up making the rosters, and this is how the draft works. Sometimes these predictions don't pan up the way people think.
Yeah, and I, like I said, Braylon Allen, I've looked at him a little bit from Wisconsin, and he can kind of catch the ball a little bit too. And he's a big guy, but his I don't know if this combine, but his time was 4.4 at 240. That's a big dude running 4.4. And he's over 6 foot. I think he's 6'1" or 6'2" or something. But so I wouldn't mind taking him even. He's rated number 12, so you could probably get him in the 3rd, 4th round. So. And get Derrick Henry. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think all in to me is go get a running back, go get a linebacker, and maybe go get a left tackle in the draft.
You know what?
Because Tyron's health kind of scares me now. I know he's a free agent, so that makes me wonder if he's actually leaving Dallas or not. But at the same time, it's like he's been there forever. He's getting at that age where he's hurt a lot. Maybe they went younger at left guard now. Maybe you just make that entire left side younger and start building that off. Jerry does this all the time. Once part of the line is gone, he'll start rebuilding it. He'll start rebuilding it through the draft. He did that in the early 2010s when Tyron, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, all those turned out great. You brought in Biotis a few years ago, who's been playing well. Terrence Steele from your alma mater, Texas Tech, who's been playing well. And then Tyler Smith last year, or not last year, the year before, but he all-pro guard now. So maybe, it kind of leads into our discussion. What do they do at 24? Do you go get your left tackle of the future at 24?
I mean, I think that's what Jerry's going to do.
If he does, Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma, that's a guy to keep an eye on. Because he's projected to go in the early to mid 20s
for O lineman,
for O line left tackle.
Okay,
or maybe right. Who knows? But I could also see them going Byron Young out of Texas because they do need some defensive line depth.
Okay.
So that I could see them either going Byron Young from Texas or go offensive lineman. But like you said, Flo, they could do a complete 180 and draft a quarterback. Who knows?
Right. That's what I think. I think they should get a quarterback early. At the latest, the second round. I'm thinking they should get a quarterback. And like you were saying, push Dak. Hey, we've got your successor. If you can't get it done this year, we got the guy here waiting next year. A la Jordan Love for Aaron Rodgers. And look how that's turned out so far. You know what I'm saying? Get the guy who you think can be the starter of the future.
If we do that, two guys that I'm okay with in that position, Jordan Travis, because he's going to be healthy the year after. I know he's not healthy this year, but he's going to be good to go in the future. And then Michael Penix, who can push him this year.
Right. I don't know if he'll be. I don't know if he'll be in that. That late. I think maybe you can get a JJ McCarthy late. Or maybe Michael Penix.
I think people are going to take a chance on McCarthy before Penix, which
you think
baffles me. But
yeah, I would take a flyer on Michael Penix if he was there in the first round. I would take him.
I was going to say if Michael Penix is there at 24, that is tempting, and I'd be like,
take him.
Take him.
I mean, take him. He's going to be a rookie. He's not a top 10 pick. He won't be a top 10
pick. Look at what you have on your team. You're
cheap. You know what I'm saying?
Look at what you have on your team right now. Nobody, as far as I know, is on a contract here this year other than Tony Pollard, but he's more than likely out the door. So you're going to go get a running back anyway. So
yeah,
you look on defense, the one player you really have to pay next year is Micah. You're going to have to pay, and the only player you want to pay this year is CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
So really, you don't need to fill any spots. Maybe go get a number 2 wide receiver.
No.
That's why I think
here's also. Does Dak ask for an extension?
I think they're already discussing. I think they're still discussing that. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. But does he play hardball and try and get a high money extension? Does he want to get top 2 or 3 quarterback extension, or does he give us a kind of a team friendly deal? I say he gives us a team friendly deal.
He's representing himself, isn't he, or is he?
I don't know. I haven't read that yet.
I don't think it's Rosenhaus. Rosenhaus has a lot of guys, but I don't think Dak's one of them. I think Dak's either representing himself or he's got somebody else.
Okay, that's possible.
But I'm not saying that is like there are 2 spots you could go. If you have the luxury of not needing to draft need at 24, I mean, I get it. Quarterback could be a great thing. And then, if you don't keep Brandon Cooks, maybe go get a guy like a Keon Coleman out of Florida State to be CeeDee Lamb's number 2.
Okay. I mean, do you not try to stick with Cooks? And are we going to get rid of MG now?
I would like to stick with Cooks. I think Cooks had a great year this year.
Yeah, especially late.
If there was one guy I would get rid of, it'd probably be MG.
Yeah,
because I think he's kind of fallen off a little bit.
yeah. Ever since he got got hurt, and then he did get his contract, but he hasn't really lived up to that contract. I don't know how much.
I think they need because you have Brandon Cooks, who's kind of that burner,
right?
But you really need a guy that can like
Take the top off the defense.
take the top off a little bit. Maybe Keon's got a big size, he's got a big frame, he can go up and get a ball. It's either that or he ends up landing in Kansas City for some reason. I don't know why, but if Keon Coleman lands in Kansas City, I'm gonna be pissed. It's like you talk about the rich keep getting richer.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, how did they get richer? They didn't really have any great receivers this year.
I mean, they're gonna three-peat. Let's all just call it right now. Let's call it right now.
Yeah. Can you wait? That's another thing. Can you have a second team? That's my second team, and my guys are like, you can't have a second team. You can have a second team.
I get told that a lot, especially with baseball, because my second team in baseball is the Cubs. So,
right, that's what I'm saying. You can have a second team, but my guys, they're all like, you can't have a second team. I was like, yeah. I mean, it's because of Mahomes,
it's
right?
not necessarily a second team. It's just your quarterbacks in Kansas City.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I root for the Chiefs because of Mahomes. But
hell, I rooted for Tampa Bay all year this year because of Baker.
Right. Yeah.
I was really hoping they would have beaten Detroit. That would have been fun.
Yeah, that would have been fun. That could have been fun. If you don't get a top receiver like a Coleman, who else do you think we can get? Who's the next best guy? Maybe because some of those guys might go early. Unless you're saying,
you're not going to get any shot at the top guys. Let's just say Odui or whatever his name is, the kid from Washington. He's going to be gone. Harrison's going to be long gone. Coleman's the first really big threat wide receiver that you're going to have a shot to get if he doesn't go in like the late teens.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, I would be even good with Adonai Mitchell from the Longhorns. He's a big body guy. He's not going to take the top off the defense, but he can give you some more targets for the the red zone, I think. But we wanted from Martavis Bryant, that I don't think we ever really got or were able to really materialize.
So you got here's what the rankings are for the wide receivers. You got Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, who's from Washington, Malik Neighbors, he's probably gone. Brian Thomas from LSU, that might be something.
Troy Franklin,
Keon Coleman. Now, if you do, what's up, Sam?
Hey, what's up, Sam? Yeah, from Oregon.
From Oregon,
he runs a 4.3, and he's tall. He's 6'3".
Now, if you keep Brandon Cooks and you want to go get like a third slot guy or something like that, I know CD can play the slot. Why not go get either Xavier Leggett or Xavier Worthy?
Worthy's too small. I mean, if you want a slot guy.
I mean, we've had great small guys before. Cole Beasley.
Worthy got some speed, so wouldn't he more be of an outside guy? He runs a 4.2.
He could be an outside guy. He did that well in Texas. So.
I'm just saying. I mean, if you're gonna get a slot guy, you kind of need kind of a smaller.
You could go get Jermaine Burton from Alabama. That's not a bad pickup.
Yeah,
Burton's okay. If you're going late rounds, that is.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I guess all in would that be getting more offense than defense? Basically, your first 4 rounds is offense.
Building upon your
what you have.
Upon your strength. Here's the thing:
if you hang on to Dak, you've got to get him help. You got to get him help at running back. You got to get him help, probably another receiver and probably O-line, and then maybe like you said, another slot receiver or a guy on the outside on receiver. I mean, why not build the offense? Because a la 49ers and build around and give your quarterback all the help that he needs. I think, to me, Dak needs a lot of running help, a lot of help around him a la Purdy, right? I think he's he moves a little better than Purdy, not much better. He's got a little better arm than Purdy, but he's basically brought Purdy. I mean, he's not head and shoulders above him. He's ahead of him.
He finally
Developmentally,
started running
he's a
this year.
quarterback.
He finally started running this year.
Yeah,
more.
because since he got hurt, he wasn't running very much. So.
Well, defensively, Sam, we kind of talked about it earlier. I would say linebacker because I know there have been talks of that. Maybe if there's a good free agent linebacker, maybe like a Devin White or something like that, bring him in. That would be an all-in type of move.
Yeah, you could sign a linebacker. That's really the only place you really need help, I think.
Would you take a chance on a linebacker at 24? I know they're not in high value, but like a Jeremiah Trotter or something like that.
No way. I wouldn't. No. I wouldn't waste the first round on a linebacker. You can get one in the offseason, or you can get a later one. Maybe take a shot on a linebacker late. Maybe mid round. I wouldn't spend a high draft pick on a linebacker. Yeah.
So.
Our defense is solid, right? That's a hole, but I think we can fill that hole with somebody.
I think if there's a hole that needs to be filled on defense, it's either defensive tackle depth or linebacker. And I think the two spots that you can help with that are going to get. Maybe a Devin White or something in free agency.
I would say go get a Devin White. If not Devin White, someone like that in free agency. Maybe pay him a little extra than you might, and fill that hole. But I don't, maybe give him give him a big bonus, signing bonus. Maybe Jerry likes to do that, and I think he can afford that usually. But I mean, usually signing bonus, give him a 2-year with a third option or something, and do something like that, because you really only need next year, because if you're going to go all in, you really need the guy to fill that hole for 1 year, right?
Sam mentioning that he wants offensive line in Tennessee, but with Callahan coming in, it's throwing him for a loop. So
bring out the Romo, because I think this is not. I don't know if you've heard this. I did remember everybody's called it the Jimmy Johnson curse, right? Because he wasn't in the Ring of Honor. I've now started to look at it as the Tony Romo curse. The year that Tony Romo got hurt and Dak got the job, I think they should have given that job back to Romo that year. As soon as he was healthy, give him the job back. I don't care how good we've been playing and how we've been winning. You give it back to Tony Romo. But you give him the job as a rookie, and you push basically Tony Romo out the back door. I'd say we win the Super Bowl that year. It's the curse of Tony Romo. We're not gonna be successful until you either get rid of Dak, or you give Dak so much help that you overcome Dak's deficiencies. But it's the Tony Romo curse right now, as far as I'm concerned.
Either that, or unless Jerry gives up, half of his power, which that will never happen.
That'll never happen. No.
Yeah,
that'll only happen when he passes away.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That sucks to say that, but
Sam missed the early part of the already.
So before we end off here, Flo, lock in your three picks for number 24. Who do you think that they go for at 24?
Who do I think they go for, or who do I want them to go for? I don't know.
Who you want them to go for, and who are your 3 guys that you say, if they pick these 3 guys, I will be okay with it?
One of these 3 guys at
one of these 3. If one of these 3 guys gets picked at 24, I will be okay with it.
Okay, I'm gonna say Michael Penix Jr. Jaden Daniels if he's there, but who knows?
I don't think he's gonna be there, to be honest. I think he's going at least 5.
And then I would take Keon Coleman. I think that's good. And hey, whoever's their quarterback from the top 5 or 6, take one of those guys. Any one of those guys that are available. Of course, Caleb's not going to be there, but Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix,
I think Caleb, Jaden, Drake May, those 3 for sure are gone.
Any of those 3 would.
And then I think JJ will be gone. I think JJ's going to be gone too.
I think any of those 3 would be good. And I'm even okay if they picked a running back high. I know you're not supposed to take a running back in the first round, at least not high, but you can take him lower.
I think
later round.
The highest projected is mid second round, and that's Blake Corum.
That's the highest rated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we don't even need to take a running back. So I'll be okay with taking an offensive lineman. The left tackle. I don't know who's the top left tackles. I don't even know.
Joe Alt, who is Sam's Titans, would love to have him.
Okay, yeah, I would take a Joe Alt then. But
if they trade up into the top 10, which I don't know if Jerry would do that.
Why would they do that though?
If they trade up to it in the top 10, I could see him trying to go get either a tackle or one of the wide receivers or a quarterback.
If you're going to trade up, get a quarterback.
Yeah, if you're trading up, you're getting a quarterback. Get a
quarterback. Get Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels, or if Drake May is there, probably won't be. But
so at 24 for me, I think the three I would love, of course, Byron Young, I think would be great. Defensive tackle from Texas. I love his game, and I think he would help immensely.
Defense. We don't need
I know defense is not really necessarily a need.
It's a waste pick, man.
But
we don't need
defense, right? you got the luxury of doing that though with the team we have. So.
But at 20, I don't like first round.
I would say
anything on defense. No, I would say no. But go ahead.
I would say Byron Murphy, Keon Coleman, or Michael Penix. Those are my three.
Okay.
If it's Michael Penix, that means Dak's in trouble.
Yeah, if it's Michael Penix, hopefully that pushes him, right? I mean, and then even the second round, if you take, Jordan Travis, and push him for next year. Say, hey, this is your year, Dak. We know Jordan's not going to take your job this year because he's still rehabbing. But next year, if you don't perform,
it'll be an interesting draft to say the least.
Yeah. We like Zimmer. Both of us like Zimmer, Sam.
Oh yeah, Zimmer's going to be great. I feel like
seamless transition. I think for the most part,
mm-hmm.
And maybe even a little better. I'll even put that out there.
Who knows?
Slightly better.
I mean, him being on the field, I think, will be a bonus for these guys.
I think the defense even gets slightly better because you're getting all those key players that I mentioned earlier, getting all those guys back. So that's one of the reasons I'm saying slightly better than last year.
Definitely. Well, Flo, before we end off here today, let the people know where they can find you at, what you guys got coming up.
Well, you can find us at The Bottom Line Sports, The Bottom Line Sports on all your platforms, YouTube, Facebook, X, as it's called, Twitch, The Bottom Line Sports. We're going to come on, I believe we're going to move to Wednesdays or Thursdays. We're not sure yet. We're not doing any more Sunday games. We did that mainly for NFL, so NFL's over. So we're going to take a hiatus from the Sunday time slot, and we're going to probably do a midweek show where we cover, start getting hot and heavy into NBA, of course, as it goes into All-Star and coming out of All-Star weekend and all that. And then, of course, March Madness is coming on. We're probably going to have a March Madness bracket or some kind of The Bottom Line Sports type of challenge, for the March Madness tournament bracket or some sort. So look for that. But you can find us on all those platforms. We got 1,500 at the Facebook group. We appreciate all those who are on the Facebook group and share, like, do all that good stuff. We appreciate everybody, and thanks for having me on. Well, I guess I'm a part of this show now. I don't know if I'm still a guest or I'm officially part of the show.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
we'll kick it into high. We'll kick it into high gear whenever season 2 rolls around next year.
Oh, okay, kick it into high gear. But yeah, so we do this show with you on Saturdays. Most Saturdays, we're taking a few Saturdays off especially since the Cowboys.
There's nothing in the news.
And the
nothing in the news.
Yeah. So we'll see. Probably, I guess we'll get a little more hot and heavy.
I think I was gonna say our next show might not be until the draft. I'll say that because there's not really much to talk about unless there's like a big free agent signing or something like that. We might do a show after that and react to that. But other than that, our next big show will probably not be until the draft.
Okay, which is what, April, I think.
April, yeah, here in a couple months.
So we'll take a little hiatus from this show, but yeah, you can find us at The Bottom Line Sports on all your platforms. Look for The Bottom Line Sports. Me, Can, the Omar the Sports Professor, and of course, none other than Hot Take Jake, who keeps popping out those hot takes. You will
Does he ever? Does he ever? He's also wearing his wife's clothes.
Oh. At least his wife's hat.
Or at least his wife's hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was funny. That was funny.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That was hilarious.
Well, for me, coming up here at the top of the hour, you can catch One-on-One with AP with my guest, the Yankee fan himself, Mr. Johnny Cruz. We'll be talking Dolphins, Yankees, a bunch of other stuff. Maybe even get into some Star Wars talk a little bit. Who knows?
Star Wars. Whoa.
Because Johnny's a big Star Wars fan, and so am I. Later on this week, speaking of Mr. First Down, who was in the comments today, he and I will have our wrestling show, which is now on Tuesdays at 9:15 Eastern on the mat. We'll talk a lot with WrestleMania season now in full swing. We'll talk a little bit about The Rock, I guess, because he did a thing last night. Wednesday is going to be the return of the baseball show. Let's talk Major League Baseball. Myself, Jonathan Grishman, and Scott Coe. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Wednesday night, and then at 9 p.m. Eastern Wednesday night, NFC East Roundtable, where we talk everything Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, and Commanders. And then I do want to announce I have made next week's One-on-One with AP official. Next week's guest will be Paul Redman from Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. That'll be at noon Eastern next Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So definitely check all that out. Check out everybody else here on Let's Talk Sports. Check out the Bottom Line Sports, too. Those guys do an awesome job. So go check them out as well.
We got a great show. We're going to be moving to Friday or Wednesdays or Thursdays. So we haven't made that change yet, but it's going to be a Wednesday or Thursday evening, early evening, probably around 6 or 7 Central. Look for us on those time slots on Wednesday or Thursday. Yep. All
right. Definitely go check them out, y'all. Any last words, Flo, before we end off? Also, shout out to Can, who couldn't be on the show, unfortunately. Shout out to Canteen.
Canteen's didn't make the show. I wasn't surprised, to be honest. But anyway, he just moved from New York to I believe North Carolina. So he's in a transition period. Just got out of the military. Gets medical retirement from the Army, so he's transitioning still, and so he's got a lot of stuff going on. But shout out to him.
Keep him all in your prayers too, for sure,
and prayers to all those in the Kansas City tragedy. All those who lost loved ones, injured, and or otherwise traumatized by the events. Shout out and prayers to them as well. Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, we're probably going to be taking a hiatus from the show for a little bit, but we'll be back for sure to preview the NFL draft. But follow us both on Twitter at the Bottom Line Sports at Peralez 30 or X, whatever. I don't care at this point. For updates and stuff like that. So until then, hope you guys have a great rest of your night. We'll see y'all later. Love y'all. Stay safe. Go Cowboys. And take care.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.